Hello, hello. We are back with Lavender Shadows, and we're gonna pick up with either Josephine or Viviane, just because they haven't had any scenes yet. Who wants to jump in with a scene? Who knows what they're gonna do next?
I think I know,
Okay.
maybe. Um, so, um, yeah, I mean, so it's been like 2 days now. So I want to call Lady Jocelyn back because I told her, like, hey, let's rest for a couple of days after we've made this discovery, and let's come back together. And I told her I wouldn't do anything until I talked to her again. So I would like to, yeah, have her come back.
Sure. Okay, so
Um,
she shows up, and you set the scene for us. Like, where in the are you guys at the estate again?
Um, Maybe we're taking a walk around the royal gardens.
Ah,
no,
perfect.
no, I'm just
Oh,
kidding.
that would have been cool though.
I mean, I guess we
Yeah,
can.
let's
It
do it.
doesn't really matter.
That'd be
Okay,
fun.
sure.
Let's have everyone go to the
Um,
Royal Garden just for no reason.
yeah, all at once.
I mean,
Vivian's there on a
Viviane would
date.
obviously be there. I mean, with or without anyone else.
I must say she could be there. Um, Vivian can be there, just like maybe like she's like looking at all the flowers while
That makes
we're like
sense.
having like making rounds, having a
Yeah.
conversation or something. Um, so I basically just want to say, Lady Jocelyn, I have been thinking a lot about what you said. And I think you're right. I think it would be unwise to try anything without properly studying these books and seeing if we can come up with some way to harness the magic um, in a not healthy way, but a safe way.
Well, I'm glad you're really thinking this through, Josephine. I was a little worried that you might do something drastic.
I just want to make sure because it seemed to me that you are somewhat of the opinion that we shouldn't be doing this at all.
I don't know what I think, Josephine. I was hesitant, of course, but well, I don't really know anymore. Maybe we maybe we should study it more.
I agree. I think it would be. Jocelyn, do you know why I love study for study's sake, of course, just as I know you do. But what is the point of I have aspirations to one day share what we've discovered
With the
to
forbidden with the Forsaken Quill Society?
no,
With who then?
just write journals about this. Just how, some philosopher, discovered that the earth is round instead of flat. you know, something like that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Just like I want to write this down. I want to share with people our discovery.
Josephine, Joe.
I'm not saying that we give them the key. I'm just saying we share what it is and get the respect that we deserve. But
Joe,
nobody will respect us if this doesn't prove to be true.
do you remember what happened in the society? Do you remember what was just done to us?
Remind me.
Like you guys got kicked out, basically, right? Like of the Forsaken Coal Society.
Oh, yeah.
And then she says, "Well, all of this will make us witches, Josephine, sorcerers. You can't just publish a paper or a journal on that.
I'm not
They wouldn't understand.
saying that I even need the magic. I just want the recognition that we discovered it. And that maybe we can make the world better through this.
And you really think they would actually give us that?
If we don't try, we'll never know.
And then she frowns and seems to kind of like think about something pretty deeply. And she says, Joe, I'm worried that if we did this and we showed the world that we would be burned at the stake for heretics. You said yourself, women aren't respected like they should be. But what if... She smiles and she says, what if we published this as if we were men? Went anonymously. And then if these anonymous noblemen were praised for their efforts, then maybe we could reveal who we were, truly. I just think we should be careful.
Oh, Lady Jocelyn.
What? And she's like confused as to like whether or not you're laughing because it's a good idea or a bad idea. She just like kind of confused. She blushes.
That's the talk of ignorance right there. You really think that if we publish this under a man's name and then, just magically come out and say, it was us, that they would respect us even then?
I think that they would be forced to admit brilliance where they saw it and not have bias.
They wouldn't believe us.
There's another reason that we might do this, and it's to keep ourselves from being killed, Joe. I don't think it's a good idea to just publicly publish a journal that we discovered magic. We don't even know if it works yet. So I'm not even really sure why we're having this conversation.
That's what I'm saying. We need to make sure it works first. I'm not saying we publish this journal now, Lady Jocelyn. We don't publish it until we know for sure it can work.
Even then, what if it did work, Joe? And this is like the most you've ever heard Jocelyn talk about anything. Apparently she's been deep in thought about this for a while now. If it did work, Joe, who is to say that... And then she kind of trails off. But what if they couldn't kill us?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, and she like looks at you and she says, what if we made sure we were unkillable?
Now you're starting to think like me.
And she kind of shyly smiles. I wonder just what we could do.
I think that's what we need to find out.
And I really should have made you roll for something there.
I know, you really should have made me. I was trying to go for an ugly truth, like that,
so
you know.
Jocelyn has been thinking about all of this stuff herself. And so I was just kind of following her like line of thought through all of that. But you have a belief off of this, don't you?
Right, I do. I will convince Jocelyn to assist me.
Well, let's have you roll. anyway.
Okay.
And if you fail, then it's possible.
How about
it's possible Jocelyn goes away from this conversation and then rethinks it again, and it's just like, wait a second, no.
Well, so what if because kind of what I was trying to imply as well with this ugly truth is that let's explore all these safe options first. But if we can't, then I need you to then, if we want to be respected and we want to get this published and we want to really discover this truth, we might have to go to more desperate measures.
Okay, yeah, because I think she's definitely on board with like studying magic,
right,
just privately. But yeah, I think she's starting to see the implications of like, okay, if we were to publish this and we were all powerful witches, then people would have to listen to us. But I think she does need that extra push to actually like full on like, let's do it sort of a thing.
Right. Okay. So maybe if I like fail this, maybe it's just like we'll study it, but we're not like
for that for now. Yeah, she like rethinks it again. She's like, okay, let's get there when we get there.
Okay.
But if you succeed, she'll be like, let's do anything. Like I'm all reins are off. Like
yes. Oh gosh. Well, let's see how. What's what's
yeah.
Yeah, what's the ob? Or let me see if I'm wondering if I can fork in anything. I mean, I know I can fork in astrology.
It's gonna be an op 3.
Okay, that's what I thought. Could I fork in philosophy?
I don't think anything you've said so far has been particularly philosophical, but if you wanted to add something philosophical to what you've already said.
Or would it maybe be history? Because I was trying to like backlog and be like the people who were respected, like no, maybe not. I don't know.
You were hinting at it, but I don't think you ever full on did any of
those.
Full
on like yeah.
So you're using ugly truth. Let's see.
Okay, I've got like 3 persona, so
you have
I think I'm gonna use 2 of my persona. I really want to pass this. And then I don't know. I want to say something. I feel like I've been like hinting at something philosophical, and it's like at the tip of my tongue. Like, you know.
I mean, you could literally just say something philosophical, like those.
Like the.
Yeah.
I was going to say something like, you know, sometimes the ends justify the means, sort of a thing.
Yeah, I mean, the thing I was going to go for, right, was like, you know, the philosophy of power, right? Like, if we have the power over this, then we can show them that women have to be respected, right? Like,
right.
And that's like the philosophical, and that's philosophical feminism right there, right? Like power dynamics, you know, that whole thing.
I mean, that's not how it should be, but you know. Okay. So I'm gonna fork in philosophy. I think I'm gonna go ahead and fork in astrology and risk it.
Yep, risk it for the biscuit.
Okay, so
I say that all the time because of you, Seth. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so 3 modifiers. Oh wait, no. Sorry, it's not 3 modifiers. It's 1 modifier to Artha.
Well, are you? Oh, you're forking in philosophy, right? Yes, and then 2 Artha, and then you'll add in the separate dice for astrology. Yep.
Right, for astrology. Okay. A base op 3.
Yep. There you go.
Oh, I succeeded.
But do roll the astrology die because it could take away successes. Nope.
I got another success.
You got 5. Okay, put those 2 personas.
Yes.
In
ugly truth.
Yeah. Unfortunately, you don't need any more difficult ugly truths. You need a bunch of routine ones. to advance it.
Oh, well, would it become routine because of my...
No, Artha doesn't actually increase the difficulty. Or
No, because of my astrology.
Oh, good question. Let's see. 5 to 3. Let me... Should have handouts here. Procedure chart. So you had 5 dice against 3 ob. Yeah, that's a routine.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yay!
Yep, routine.
Sweet.
Nice. You just need one more routine. Advance it.
I've been using that a lot because it's the only thing I have.
Yep. It's the only social skill that Jo has acquired for herself.
Right. I mean, I've tried a bunch of other things like soothing platitudes and empathy and persuasion, but
yeah, so I mean, basically that conversation goes exactly as that conversation just went. And she comes out of the conversation basically being like, all right, we need to be all-powerful witch sorcerers. Like,
we're going to do this.
And then we will be able to show everyone that, it won't matter that people want to burn us at the stake because they won't be able to.
We'll burn them.
The reason that I had Jocelyn start going over that line of thinking is because when we started the scene, I looked at her traits and I realized she has 3 traits that right away it's like, you know what, she might actually be okay with all of this if she had the time to think it over, because she has the trait obsessed, the trait strange, and the trait dangerous.
Oh my gosh.
And I think it's because of her student life paths and stuff. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. So she's just this shy girl, but then when you actually get to know her, she's that weird one who's like, I like to watch murder mysteries 24/7.
Exactly. I mean, think about this. Her entire skill set is based around...
Wait. If only watching murder mysteries 24/7 makes you a weird person.
Emily, we already knew you were weird.
We're concerned about. I was thinking more
she asks questions in social settings that's so what do you think the best weapon to kill somebody is?
Yeah. Do you think it would be better to burn someone alive or drown someone?
What do you think is more cruel?
Yeah, exactly.
What's your favorite way of removing fingerprints?
What were you say, Carlos?
She reminds me of the one scientist lady in the Scouts in Attack on Titan that's obsessed with the Titans.
yeah. Hanji, yeah.
Yep. And then later I would like to pour over the books with her.
Okay, so what's your intent this time? You've done this 2 times with her now. This has to be obviously a different intent. You've discovered the significance of the special signs. You've discovered the significance of physical disabilities leading to gaining magic. What do you want to study this time?
I would like to study what specifically qualifies as a
disability. Yeah,
disability for this.
Can you self?
I know.
Yeah.
Right. Can you self-inflict? If you can, how bad does it need to be?
Yeah.
And if you can't, is there maybe a ritual you can do to get around it, sort of a thing? Maybe that's a separate role later, but right now I just want to figure out what qualifies. That's my goal.
Okay. Figure out the significance of all those things. All right, let's see what role this is. Let's take a look at your character sheet, Joe. You have I feel like this would have to be history? Or
history or mythwise, maybe.
Yeah, mythwise might work.
Well, it's not really a myth, but
mythwise you could definitely fork it somewhere. I'm just trying to think if there's any
or maybe ancient language.
Well, ancient languages
I guess I could
would be specifically the signs, and I don't know if the signs would tell you anything about the disabilities.
It would probably be history, yeah.
Yeah, I think it would be history. I'm just trying to see if there's any other more specific skill than that it would be.
Obscure history, because
obscure history is definitely, but like history as a general field is what you're looking at here. There are probably several different types of history you could look at to find more information. Just kind of looking at some of these options here, because there's like ancient history, campaign history, foreign history, religious history, local history, obscure history, and religious history. You know what I think you come to the conclusion of after doing some preliminary research with the books that you have is that you don't have the books for it. You need to go to like the official like college libraries and like do some like legit research to actually find this information, because your personal library has, and the books that Maxence gave you have given you,
because we've already looked through these so many times
extensively. Yeah. Like you need other books to cross-reference to actually know more information.
Right. We need to like study like people with disabilities.
Exactly. Yeah.
In like the world and whatnot.
There's a whole bunch of fields of study you need to go through to make this work.
Okay.
So
to the library.
Exactly. To the library. I'm trying to look at your guys' stuff, because I don't know if you guys just have random access to some of the more obscure parts of the library. So I think someone needs to make a circles test or equivalent skill first to like know someone that can get them into the deepest, darkest sections of the library, so you have access to all the information you could need.
Okay. Right.
You guys can help each other with this, though. You guys can.
Okay. I mean, I need a difficult circles test. So, what's her circles? What does she have?
She has 2 as well.
Okay, I do too. So we'll do me.
You know what we need to do? Technically, this happens at the. Actually, never mind. Continue. Ignore it. I was just gonna say.
Okay.
That's something what we would get to it at the end of an arc. Never mind. Doesn't matter now.
Okay.
So circles.
Okay. So just can I fork in my relationship as a weird book lady?
Absolutely.
Heck yeah.
That seems perfectly suited for this.
So I just do 1 modifier
or
2 because
she's you with 1. You can also add either of your affiliations.
Okay.
Dice, but...
Well, I'm no longer affiliated with
that was the thing I was going to mention. I think you technically still have that affiliation until we get to a trait vote, because you still know people in the society, right? Like you still have clout to throw around.
Okay, then I will fork in that, because I'm going for something that would be related to the Forsaken Quill Society. So 3 modifiers. What's my base ob?
Your base ob. Okay, so you're finding someone. You both have scholar life paths, so you're finding someone who has the same life path as you, basically. So that's not super difficult there. Same station, but really the only difference is they have specific knowledge different from yours. So honestly, I think it's gonna only give me an ob 2.
Dope. Okay. Oh yes.
Nice.
Wow, look at all the successes we're getting tonight, guys.
Literally, I don't think no one's failed a single roll.
This is all I had to say was like, wow, we're all really successful people doing really successful roles. If you just speak it into the universe, it happens.
Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, I didn't need a routine test, but that's okay. I'd rather get that than make it a difficult.
So I think what it is it's one of the members of the Forsaken Quill Society, maybe one of the Shire guys, right?
I don't want to talk to any of them.
Well, I know, but I think like literally what it is you realize that it's like the person you need to talk to is like one of the custodians of this library, and he's one of the like Shire guy members of the Forsaken Quill Society. And maybe he even like, we're just gonna like kind of flash through this conversation, but basically it goes like, I don't agree with the way you were treated here. Like, I can give you this information. Sort of thing.
Do I need to add him to my circles?
So that's the thing. The way the circles works is if you get just on the success or the obstacle, they just become a passing person that you don't get to make a name. If you wanted to spend a fate and get another success, you could add them to your permanent. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
No, that's fine.
Yeah. Which is why I just skipped the conversation. Cool. Yeah. So you now have access to all of the libraries. So the first thing you're going to need to do is someone's going to have to make a research roll. Luckily, Jocelyn has the skill.
Okay, good.
This is the collation of basically what you're going to do now.
How did I not have research as a skill? There's so many skills I wish I had.
Yeah. There's just not enough skills, not enough points to put in.
So many skills.
Yeah, exactly. Research is the art of navigating libraries, gathering data, and collating coherent reports. So,
can I help her by forking in read?
Yeah, I honestly think this is just the skill. This is the skill that's being used, and then all the forks are going to go into it.
Right. No, that's what I'm saying.
So, as in, like, this is going to make or break all the information that you'll get. So I think if it's going to be an op 5.
Okay.
And then she is going to fork in all her things, but what are you adding?
Read.
Yeah, read works. You're doing a lot of the, maybe what happening, you're doing a lot of the brute force, like, manual labor.
Like, I'm, like, reading it.
And she's doing all the, like, higher, like, collating the reports and stuff, making notes and whatnot.
Could I also fork in my history?
You can only help with one skill. She gets to fork in all of hers, yeah.
She gets to fork in other things, okay.
So, but you will get a test equal to what if you were rolling
on this for my read.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So honestly, maybe you want to pick whatever skill would you want to get a test in.
I need a thing in read. All the other things are.
So doing this with read would give you a challenging test on read.
And
you need it, yeah. It can work.
I need it, so yeah, might as well.
Okay.
That's fine. Yeah.
All right. So she is gonna roll research, and she is gonna add in your modifier, and she's gonna add in ancient history, doctrine, folklore, library-wise, obscure history, read, relic-wise, religious history, rituals-wise, saints-wise.
She is dangerous.
And write, because she's also making notes. So she has 12.
That's what she's adding in 12 modifiers?
Yep.
Oh my god.
She's really good at this, guys. She just...
The sad part is, though, she could still definitely fail this.
Yeah. Just she did not. She passed it with flying colors.
Wow, really good roll.
Yeah, that was a great roll. And that was a routine research test for her, which she didn't even need. This was so easy, she didn't even upgrade her skill at all. Just unlocking the mysteries of magic.
No big deal.
Big deal for Jocelyn Marquand.
I feel like what's happening right now, this is just foreshadowing, is I am creating a monster here. Worse than me.
Creating a monster worse than you. That is what's happening. And there's going to be a point where Joe realizes...
Where I'm going to realize it.
And Jocelyn's going to be like, no, we haven't gone far enough. Yeah. Okay, so... I think... You know what? I'm going to open this up to all of us. What do we think is the most interesting for this story? Should Josephine be able to meme herself to get... That's the first question we need to ask. Can someone self-inflict a wound and get magic? Because really, okay, so the two questions here are, does it have to be can it be self-inflicted? And is there some sort of ritual involved in the infliction of this wound? Or can it just be by accident? Like, could Viviane not count because it just happened to her naturally? or is it like you have to like give up something of yourself like in some sort of ritual?
Mm.
Can it like, is it allowed to be both? Like if you're born with something, like you have the ability, but then if you're not, you have to give up like something in a very specific ritual
That sounds
that's
like a
a very
compromise.
big
Yeah.
sacrifice.
Yeah, natural.
Yeah, the way I'm thinking about it is like, oh, if you're born, like with Viviane's case, you're born without hearing, then you already have the ability to gain something from this magic. And then if you have all of your faculties, then you have to give up something in order to get it.
Yeah, but it has to be like a ritual.
Equivalent exchange. Yeah.
I think that makes sense. Yeah. So now the question is, what was your intent specifically again?
I wanted to find out what would qualify somebody to be able to do this magic.
Okay, yeah, and then like the severity of the disability and so on.
Right.
Well, I think you recognize, that like, certain diseases, like chronic diseases would work, blindness or deafness would work, major things like that. I think, Jocelyn Marquant is myopic, but you realize that's not enough.
Sorry, what does myopic mean?
It's like
bad
eyesight, but I'm trying to. It's nearsighted.
Oh, right, because she has glasses. Right.
Yeah, it's nearsighted.
Got it. So that's not good enough. Basically,
it's not good enough.
It has
so
to
just having bad eyesight and needing glasses isn't good enough to like warrant magic.
Right. It has to be something that truly hinders you.
Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Because it literally is the equivalent exchange of...
Not that being deaf hinders you from having a great life, because it doesn't. Deaf people are awesome, and they have an amazing culture.
Things, right? It hinders you significantly from living what would be considered a normal life. So... I think, because what I'm trying to wonder is how much information you get about what specific rituals are involved. She did get 10 successes, but that's not the intent. I don't know if the intent exactly included. Do we know the ritual now?
Right. Well, she did fork in ritual wise.
That is true. Okay.
Well,
I'm gonna say you guys think you understand one ritual that could work.
Okay.
And Alyssa, you tell me, what would be something Josephine would be willing to give up that's like serious to get magic?
Oh boy.
Like
what would I be willing to
cut out one eye in, an Odin type ritual? Would you
Would one eye
be enough?
Would you not have to do 2 eyes?
I think, what I think you discover, Joe, is if you have the right rituals, you can give up less.
Oh.
So
because then it'd be like, if I was able to lose hearing in one ear, that would give me the same powers as if I was fully deaf.
Yeah, I think it's like if you have like a better ritual than like the standard one, you could give up less and get the same amount of like power. But yeah, what's something Josephine will be willing to give up?
That is a great question. Obviously not her hands. She needs them to be able to sign.
That's one thing you never noticed that anyone ever had.
Oh.
Everyone always had both hands.
Arms.
Like,
right, yeah. I don't know if this would count or not. But I know immediately one thing she would definitely be willing to give up. But again, I don't know if this would count as a disability or not for this.
We'll see.
Being barren for the rest of her life.
Ooh.
Not being able to have children.
Oh, that is such a good thing for this feminist witch cult, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, that's perfect. You know what? I think it will be. Yeah, I think so what you find, Joe, is you find like legitimately some sort of, okay, you stumble upon the writings of some long forgotten like feminist witch coven, where literally that's what all of their members did. They became barren to get magic.
And then they all died off.
And then they all died off because
Right.
they had no one to propagate their. Exactly. Yeah.
That's why they bring in young women
Mhm.
to like become their disciples.
Exactly. Yeah.
Um,
And so
okay,
you
that was just a
think-
thought because I was like,
No, that's
she doesn't
perfect.
want to get
That's
married.
perfect. It
so,
has to be that.
like,
Thematically, it has to be that. So I think like you and Jocelyn think you figured out the particular ritual, like the fertility ritual, the anti-fertility ritual that would take away your ability to bear children, but give you magic.
oh my gosh.
Whoa. Marguerite would so be in on this, I think.
The problem is too is that I'm like, okay. Oh man. I'm just debating if we just do this here and now right now. I don't know.
In the library?
No.
You go back to the Forsaken Quill guy, and you're like, "Hey, we're gonna need 2 goats and a couple of candles. Can you bring those in?
We need some incense and a pleasing aroma to the Lord.
Yeah.
I think so we think we have found the
Again,
ritual.
like you won't know until you try, but
try it,
yeah.
right? Of course.
You think you
But-
translated, the
But like
text correctly.
what I'm asking here, just as a player, real quick, is like there wouldn't be any other like test we could do like later on to like try to find like to because we're like 90% sure, but is there any way to make it up to like a 95%?
Go find a different library that has more obscure texts. That would be the only way at this point.
Okay.
Find
All right.
more books.
I just want to make
Mhm.
sure. Okay.
But
Because if there's
basically-
nothing,
Good.
Go ahead. No,
I think
okay.
that the only thing this will do is when you actually do try to perform the ritual, it will be harder than it would be otherwise if you were 100% sure.
Oh, right, but we can't be 100% sure.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying, it would be, you could make it less difficult to accomplish this ritual if you were to find other obscure books and do some more research and on a successful research roll.
Right. So that's what I'm wondering. So obviously this isn't the only library in town necessarily, or would
Yeah,
it be?
I mean,
would we have to go out of
You
town
have to make some sort of other roll to know who might have other obscure books.
Oh no, I just had a thought, but I probably. Oh no.
Yeah, I think I've had the same thought of you. What do you think?
Sir Pascal took some books, didn't he?
Uh-huh.
Oh no. I think we gotta go make a visit.
You know what actually definitely happens is you notice
What?
that there's some books missing from the library. Like,
And we
Jocelyn's
ask who
like,
checked
I
them
remember,
out.
yeah, and you ask who checked them out, and the guy tells you it was Sir Pascal.
Sir Pascal.
And that is where we leave off that scene, and let's jump.
Yep.
Let's jump to someone else. Viviane, what do you got? There's a couple of places we could go here, right? We could, I'm just grabbing your beliefs. You could talk to your dad, right? You still need to get your father to recognize the danger the Kleber rumor could bring to the Augustas name. Or we could have Matthias show up, but you wanted to have a chance to talk to your dad before this. Because you stalled last time because you realized he was sick. How long are you going to stall before you bring it up? Yeah. Because if you stall long enough, then Matthias is just going to show up, and then you'll have 2 problems, right?
I just don't know if she has enough on Kleber yet to be like, this rumor is enough to like have me not marry him.
Mm-hmm. I mean, a successful roll would make that the case, but
Okay, what kind of roll would that be?
oh, I mean, a roll to like when you actually talking to him, right? Like that's what
Oh,
would just define whether or not that rumor would be
Right.
enough.
okay.
You could literally just like ask him like, well, so who is that? After the whole thing and see if he is lying.
Who was that beautiful, enchanting woman who was so lovely?
Yeah, you could confront Frederick about it.
I guess so.
If you're stalling telling your father, that I feel like that would be the place Viviane would go next, right?
Yeah.
So maybe what happens is while Josephine and Jocelyn are like doing their study, you and Kleber are walking in the royal gardens, right? Because obviously he would suggest it at one point, right? He'd be like, "Oh, you like gardens? Let's go to the royal gardens. Everybody loves the royal gardens."
I feel like the entire time she's like criticizing the order they put some of the flowers in, and she's like, "Oh, I could do this so much better."
Yeah, and he seems amused by that because it's like, this is like centuries of horticulture that's being on display here.
There's definitely some parts of it that she's admiring, and she's like, "Oh yes, this is perfectly done." But
yeah,
and she's another note. She's also trying her best to sketch some of the flowers in like a little notebook, but
obviously failing
not
because
doing very well.
she's not good at that. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Does Kleber notice you're distracted at any point? Like,
Probably.
Is it obvious?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think there's one point. Maybe what happens is you're trying to sketch one of these plants, and then you like mess up something, and like just kind of get a little frustrated, and maybe he puts a hand on your hand, and then he signs, "What's wrong?" I notice you've been out of sorts today. Anything I can do to help? And he smiles at you. And you're reminded just how handsome a guy this actually is.
It's so annoying.
I think that is probably a constant thing that's going on in Viviane's head.
Yeah,
it's annoying how handsome he is.
Yeah. Just trying to think of how she would phrase this. Because she's
probably with her hands.
I mean, she probably just straight up asked, like, who was the woman that talked to you the other day?
He pales slightly, but seems to catch himself easily and then smiles again. Oh, no one. People like to try to get money or fame from noble houses like mine, try to look for ways to make themselves more prominent. She was looking for work or something, but it was too obvious. She was trying too hard, so I just left.
Okay.
And that
is there a
that's
roll
a
that
lie.
I can make?
So he has to roll falsehood is what is going to happen.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was going to say, is there a roll I could make to, or possibly make this easier for me to determine that he's lying? That, like, because, I'm also in a noble house, like, would I know that there's something about that situation that isn't typical to what usually happens when people try to get attention from noble houses?
Yeah, I feel like you could do like an anti-linked test here and like roll something right to be like to make it more difficult for him to do his lie.
Okay.
Let's see. Do you have any skills for that? I mean, etiquette would probably be a skill here, if anything.
Okay.
Let me look and see what that would be. So you're just basically trying to see is that normal? Is this making sense?
Right.
Etiquette. I'll say an 2.
Can I fork anything into that, or is that just...
You can fork in astrology, but that's it.
Okay. Might as well.
Yeah, so you roll that separately. So.
Yeah. What was the off again?
2. You can spend 1 fate to roll a failed dice.
Okay. What's that roll again?
Wait, doesn't she roll her astrology
roll
dice?
astrology first. Just roll
Yeah.
it's a /r space 1d6 greater than 4 exclamation point. Okay, so 0 success on the astrology, but you can still spend a fate to reroll 1 more d6 if you wanted to.
Yeah, I have 8.
Yeah, might as well.
What's that roll?
Same roll. And you can press up to just do the same roll again. There you go. Yep.
Yay.
You only get 1 for success. Yeah, so you can make this basically 1 more difficulty higher for him.
Cool.
So what is your will?
4? I'm looking at that right?
Yep, I think so. That sounds right. Let's see. He's definitely saying this very charmingly with a smile, and he, I think as he says it, he like, leans in and kisses you on the cheek, sort of a thing, right? Like as a.
Okay.
Yeah. As if you're just like, it was nothing, no sort of thing, like, and then like kisses you on the cheek, and then like, okay, let's keep walking, sort of thing, right? He's trying to be really nonchalant about it until he's adding a whole bunch of forks. He's adding in etiquette, inconspicuous, noble wise, persuasion, seduction, soothing platitudes. Yeah, buddy.
No.
Yeah, you believe him.
I know. Needed this.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds reasonable. Maybe just the slightest sliver of doubt enters your mind. It's like, wait a sec, what if this is someone trying to blackmail him? What if he's not a bad guy?
I want him to be a bad guy.
Everything would just be easier if that was the case.
God. I don't know what to do now.
Yeah, I mean, do you just let the moment pass and you just don't confront him?
I mean, I don't know why I would.
Why you would bring it up,
Like,
or why
if
you
I
would let the
believe
moment
him.
pass?
Well, if I believe him, then I don't know why
Yeah.
I would.
I mean, but you believe it about that random girl, right? You don't know if that's
Right.
connected at all. So you could still confront him about the rumor, right?
Yeah.
I'm just curious how Viviane would even bring that up.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm trying to figure out. Because, like,
I mean, it would be like, oh, I'm sorry, I've been like suspicious because I heard this rumor, sort of a thing. But I don't even know if she would do that though. She's so like
yeah, I don't know.
shy and so.
Why did I make this character this way?
Like, I ask myself that every time we play Lavender Shadows.
Same.
Why did I make myself the way that I am?
I think maybe the way she phrases it, I'll probably have to make a roll for this, but yeah, she phrases it like, my father heard a rumor that made him suspicious of your intentions, or like the purity of your intentions, I guess.
That made your father suspicious of?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, that's a lie.
I know, which is why.
Yeah, so you have to roll a falsehood there.
Which is probably not a good idea.
I feel like that's probably the way she'd try it first, though.
Yeah.
Try to make it
Yeah.
not confrontational of her. It would just be like, my dad is
And
one.
the thing is, if she fails at this and he realizes she's lying, she can just be like,
It was
okay, I'm
actually-
sorry. I'm the one
Yeah.
that's been paranoid about this. I'm just trying not to be a horrible person.
That's a good fail-safe.
Yeah.
Yeah, so go ahead and add in being learned. Falsehood is based on will. What a wonderful relationship.
Look
you
at
have
her
right
trying to
now.
lie.
You both are just lying to each other right now.
I'm just like, bravo, trying to lie to your fiance. That's great.
We're not technically engaged.
I mean, you're intended.
Yeah.
But
Well,
it's like the same thing in noble society, basically.
It's just not official yet.
I'm also basically engaged to Matthias, but I mean,
Your dad.
I
would
mean, but
say,
nobody knows that.
Okay, so you're gonna roll that, and it's gonna be probably impossible, because his will, I believe, is 5. He's hard to lie to. Will is 5, but you do get an advantage dice because I think it's a believable lie.
Okay. So
1 modifier
One
and
modifier.
5 ob. Yep. And then we'll double to 10. So technically possible, just very improbable. But you have fate technically too, and persona if you want to spend it. But again, like even spending all 3 of your persona and possibly using fate, still unlikely you'd succeed. So you might not want to waste it.
yeah, no.
Oh, you got a pretty good roll for. I mean, you almost all successes. For what you had. No 6s though.
Oh, no 6s.
Yeah. So you could technically spend 1 fate, but you'd have to roll 6. You'd have to roll a 6 5 times, and then a success.
No, I'm
Yeah,
kidding.
we've seen it happen before, but very unlikely. Mark the difficult test on your will. Yeah, and he notices you're lying. Let's see. So he looks at you. I'm trying to think of what he would think about that. Like, he caught you in a lie. I'm trying to think of like how he would respond, what part of it he would think was the lie.
Mm.
Right, would he just be like, your father or you did?
I don't know if, well, I'm trying to look at his, like, okay, he's intelligent. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I think he looks at you and he says that. I think he says. He stops, right? You guys are walking. He just stops and he hesitates for a long moment and he turns to you and then signs. Your father has concerns, or you do? You can see legitimate sadness on his face when he says this.
This hurts me inside.
That's my goal.
He's a fictional character, but I feel so guilty.
That is all I hope for this campaign.
Oh gosh. I think she says, my father would have concerns if he had heard it too.
But you haven't told him yet.
She shakes her head.
Well, and he says this to himself without, like, signing it, but you could probably read his lips. Well, at least there's that. And he looks you flat in the face, and he signs, it's true.
He didn't even ask me what the rumor was that I heard.
Oh, you're right. He didn't.
Whatever it is, it's true. I've done it all. I
No, yeah, he would. He
confess.
would ask. He wouldn't be like randomly confess to something he didn't know what it was. I thought
I
for some
did
reason
murder everyone.
for some reason I thought it would specify which rumor. But yeah, he says, "What did you hear, Viviane?"
Gosh. Okay.
I hear you had sexy times with another woman, and there was a bab.
Baby?
Yeah, just sighing baby.
I mean,
That'd be a fun way to do it.
sorry, what was that? I missed
I
that.
just said, you, father?
Oh.
Yes, no, which?
Yeah, I think she just says to like simplify it and like keep her language super proper. I think she just says like, I hear that you have a child.
Yeah. He takes a long, deep breath, exhales. It's true. I do. It is not something that I am proud of, and I freely admit that. I apologize. I should have told you this. I should not have kept this a secret. Viviane, I completely understand if you want to break off things between us. Would you at least find it in your heart to forgive me? And the thing is, like, you know that even if you were like, oh, this isn't out, your father still doesn't know anything about any of this stuff.
Right,
And he
yeah.
might still say, no, you're marrying him.
Right, especially if he just confessed it and he's just like, yep.
Right.
Oh my gosh. What?
I think what she says is, I mean, she kind of like looks down at the ground and then looks back up at him. And says, how would I phrase this? Like, as the intent of our marriage was initially and primarily like my father's will and my father's doing, like, I think it's right that he would know about this before we continue and actually be married, because, you know, our house's name is on the line if that comes out.
Yeah, and he nods and he says, of course. Absolutely, of course. Viviane, would it be too... I'm trying to think of how he said this. Would it be all right if I took my leave? I will go to him immediately and explain the entire situation.
She nods.
Yeah, and he bows very deeply, and he says, Viviane, I am truly sorry. It is not something I'm proud of, and I have been trying to change. And then he looks down and like he's like signed that, and he signs like, did I sign that right? Did that make sense?
She nods, and she says, well, signs.
Yeah.
And I do forgive you.
And he smiles, at least slightly, still kind of like a sad smile, but he says, thank you. And then he leaves. And now I'm going to make a roll for young Lord Fraser Kleber to convince your father to still let him marry you.
Please fail!
All right, let's take a look at Vicomte Bastiat Auguste, played by Gary Oldman. He has a will of 7.
Ooh, snap.
And Let's see. I'm trying to think of how all the things that he would gather together to try to accomplish this. Okay, so this is a persuasion roll. And he's getting a fork from etiquette. Probably falsehood, because he's probably trying to downplay certain portions of it.
What is there to downplay?
I think mostly okay, I'm
that
gonna say
he
that
abandoned his child.
probably that, and then also like the whole thing of, well, honestly, there's
maybe he's like not sure if it's actually his, sort of a thing.
I think there also might be a portion of it that you guys don't know about, nobody else knows about, that he's gonna lie here about something, and obviously no one there is in the scene, so you might not know exactly what he's lying about, what he actually tells the dad, but I know he's gonna add noble wise and soothing platitudes, obviously. And then he's going to spend all 3 of his persona points on this. 7. Here we go.
No!
What?
Why?
How does he have 3 Artha to spend?
Because I'm keeping track of the beliefs that he has and what he's accomplished.
Oh my gosh.
Stop.
Plan.
Against a will 7?
Yep.
Wow.
You got a difficult test. Good job.
I'm so sorry, Carly. This is just the worst.
Yeah, and maybe Viviane, maybe you finally have like a feeling of like relief. You're like, okay, he's gonna go. This is all gonna be out in the open, and of course my dad's not gonna. And then we like cut as you are having that thought, and you like get back, and your father like calls you into his study, and I assume you go in,
Yeah.
And he looks at you like gravely and seriously, and he says, "Young Lord Friedrich Kleber came to see me today at your behest."
He nods.
Yeah, it wasn't really a question, but he waits anyway.
Yeah.
He's explained to me the situation. Viviane, what are your thoughts on this? That's like the first time in like literally forever your dad's ever asked that question. And you can see him kind of grimace a little bit and cough. Clear his throat, rather. Does Viviane pause?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think he says, obviously, this affects you as well as our family. And I think I have been shocked into a further sense of my own faults. And I believe that I have been neglecting your feelings in this matter. I would hear what you have to say before I make any final decisions.
My heart.
Am I there interpreting?
Probably either you or mom.
Okay, I just want to make
probably
sure.
mom, just because
It's a
That makes-
sensitive.
yeah.
But I think we have
Family matter.
established that of everyone, she reads his lips best because, like, she's
Yeah,
kinda-
yeah, but for you to be able to talk to him.
True.
Oh,
yeah.
right.
Let's say
yeah,
your
I guess
mom's there.
that's true.
Yeah. And your mom is looking at you like, "Oh, honey, I'm sorry."
Yeah, you better be sorry. I always know what she wants to say, but I have to figure out how to phrase it. Gosh. Oh, how do I phrase this? I want to say something along the lines of, like, not only, she says, like, I would honestly find it difficult to, well, maybe she wouldn't say that. Basically, she's gonna say something along the lines of, like, I already see all of the things that people say behind my back about my loss of hearing. It would honestly be difficult for me to live as the wife of someone with so many rumors attached to their name, or with such a rumor attached to their name, because I would only come under more scrutiny. And that would be attached to our family name.
Make a roll. Like, that is a very, like, obvious.
Ooh,
like,
you're really pulling it together.
Yeah, that's a good point, right? Like, what role is that? Ugly truth, I think, is honestly what that role is.
Yeah.
But you're good at perception. Okay, you're learning that. I think it's honestly just an one ugly truth though. Like it's a pretty like understandable point.
Cool. When forking and soothing platitudes work, or oh well, it's being learned, so I can't.
And so, what is your intent here exactly? Is that statement? Because I don't know if that statement is going to just like completely sway him,
right?
But what's something concrete you want it to show him? Because basically, what's kind of happening here is I'm weighing all of these roles into account in his final decision.
Right.
Yeah, I guess what I want to come across is mainly like mainly that like she wants to be able to have more of an initial say in who she marries. And like be able to have a relationship with them before like jumping into any commitment, because you know you never know when these rumors could pop up, especially in like noble society.
Okay, yeah.
So like just get him to understand that like she wants to be able to form a relationship with whoever she marries before any public thing is said about it, or
okay, so at the very least this
any
will
decisions are made on his part.
At the very least this will show him that this will give you more time to decide all of these things. He won't rush you into something. Yeah. 1. Yes. Oh, perfect. Yeah. So he nods solemnly and he says, I understand, Viviane, and I've lived before under the shadow of rumor. I would not wish it on anyone. But I don't know what to do. Because Viviane, I am dying.
She slowly reaches out and like just takes his hand and just kind of sits there.
Yeah. And he grips it firmly. And he says, I want to leave you something. Anything. But the way the laws in this stupid country are, the only way you'll get anything of my estate is if you marry Kleber. Now the boy came to me and he explained everything, and I believe he is sincere in wanting to change. Viviane, I don't see another option. Do you think you could find it in your heart to forgive him? And
but there is another option.
Yeah, to forgive him and possibly move forward with this, not in a quick timetable, mind you, but spend some time continuing to court Kleber, get to know him, and we'll see if he is the upstanding young gentleman that appeared to me this afternoon and explained everything. And if he is that man, then I would want you to marry him. Because I want you to be looked after. I want your mother to be looked after.
Oh gosh. I mean, I think she starts like silently crying, like a couple tears just kind of start falling down her face. She's too like frozen and scared to like reach up and wipe them away.
Yeah. And he kind of like takes both of your hands and holds them in his own, and he says, my darling Viviane, do you think that you could do that for me?
I made it worse. No. Oh my god.
There is another option.
Yeah, but how do I say that?
How do you be like, Dad, I've been secretly writing this boy for the past couple months and I'm in love. Please let me marry him instead.
I mean, there's probably a way Viviane could play this where she lets it be more of an open situation where she says, you know, like, could you, you know, allow me to maybe, you know, see if I can to basically be more free to, like, trying to think of
explore other options.
Yeah, but unless in a more formal way of phrasing it than that, right? Like just to be
right.
to know that other potential suitors might be, you know, to explore that possibility. Because if you could open up the possibility just a little bit and then Matthias shows up, that might be the ideal order of operations. Because if you just say like, wait, Dad, there's this guy, then he's going to be like, wait a second, you know, like.
Yeah. Right. You just be like, you know, I'll go through with I'll still court him, but if another suitor comes that would be willing, that could take care of me still, would you be willing to consider that?
Yeah, I mean, she basically says that. She's like, Yeah, I mean, I don't know how else you would phrase that.
Yep. Is that how you phrase it then?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, that's a persuasion test, which you only have a 2 in. But if you manage to like pile in a bunch of forks and stuff here, I think
Let's say you could also word it the same way, but make it more of a soothing
it's the
platitude if
same
that's
roll.
better. Like,
Yeah, it's the same. She has 2.
oh,
in
it's the
both.
same.
Yeah.
Okay.
She's mildly good at a couple of social skills, but not significantly. You could.
But I'm
you could-
deaf, so.
Yeah. I think your mom can probably help you here. Right? Like, yeah. Because I think she sees this as like, oh, this actually might be a possibility, right?
Rather than I have to bend to my husband's will.
Yeah. And because she sees that her husband's will is not as firm,
Yeah.
right? Like, and she's
Right.
like, this could be a way that all of us could be happy.
Mm-hmm.
And so she's gonna help you with persuasion dice. Like, what? I think she comes over to him and puts a hand on his shoulder and says, "Dear, I think that might be a good option. Give her a chance to give it some time. Trust her. She has more of you in her than you realize. She's strong. She knows her own mind." So she's going to add a dice for persuasion there.
Can I fork in etiquette? I'm assuming?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Trying to think of anything else.
Soothing platitudes.
Yeah.
You can
Astrology.
obviously fork in astrology.
Yeah.
You can sync all 3 of your persona in this. Which, like, this is the role. Like,
yeah. I don't know when else I'd use it, so.
I'm going to give you advantage dice because of your successful ugly truth.
Could she also get an extra bonus dice for like waiting to like talk to him about this because of that empathy roll that she rolled last time in the last session?
Yeah. That's a great point. Yeah, that definitely wasn't the time to bring it up. But now is. Yeah, you can get 2 bonus dice for that, for those things.
So that's 2 bonus dice, soothing platitudes, and etiquette.
And then 1 for your mom.
So 5.
And then you can add in the astrology dice later. And then do you want to sync all 3 of your persona in this?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So put the 3 in Artha. Ob is still 7, because that's his will.
I'm so scared.
Oh, no. Okay,
no.
okay, you have 2 6s. First, roll your astrology. This is definitely possible. Roll a d6 for your astrology first.
So just 2d6.
No, just roll 1d6 first for your astrology.
Oh.
With all the, with the greater than 4 exclamation point thing.
Sorry, say it again.
Roll. Sorry, I'm typing this out with a period. Roll that without a period.
Okay.
Whoa!
Whoa!
Nice. Okay, that was your
Oh my
astrology. You
gosh.
got 2. All right, so now if you spend 2 fate, then you can roll 3 d6 because you got 2 6s and you can spend 1 reroll 1 failed dice. Oh gosh, this is possible.
So just
3d6 with those modifiers added on. Yep.
Okay.
You did it! You did it!
Yes!
Oh my gosh.
You actually did it. Okay, mark that. I mean, you didn't need that difficult persuasion test, but mark it. You did it. So put all of the fate and persona that you spent in persuasion in the little bubbles there. Nice.
Truly a great moment.
Where do I put the persona?
It's the bubble below the first one. It's the one that has a 1 in it right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I see.
So you put 3 more in there. Yeah. Oh man, awesome.
That was
Not
difficult?
believe that works.
I don't either. I can't either. What?
You
Wow.
said that was a difficult test?
Yeah, but you didn't need it, so yeah.
Oh.
That astrology dice.
I
though.
know. It
Boom.
came in. It came in.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh. That was so stressful.
Okay, so.
You literally went from 4 successes to 9.
Mhm.
Like.
So. I think the only thing we see from the rest of this scene is he just starts bawling. And he just, because the last thing that was said is, she has a lot of you in her, right? Like more you in her than she's strong. She knows her own mind. And he just starts bawling, and in between choked sobs, he says, I know. And so the assumption is he's finally broke, and he's like, I realize all the crap I've done to my lovely daughter, and I regret everything.
You finally broke him. What a great day.
Awesome. Well, on that great note, let's take our final break, and then we'll come back and we'll see what is going to go on with Marco and Marguerite when we return. Stick around. We got more Lavender Shadows to come, and I hope the rest of it goes as well as it has so far. We'll be right back.